Our first order of business for today is What the Papers Say. That's our segment that we usually start from day 2 of Sibos, and joining us are our usual suspects and culprits. First of all, we've got Chris Hall. He's a news editor at Sibos Issues. Heather McKinsey is the editor at the Daily News at Sibos, and David Bannister is the editor at Banking Technology. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Let's start with, first of all, I should mention that it is Thursday, Middle East and Africa Day, so that's going to be the main theme that's running through the conference. The other main theme that has been running through this conference, not just this one, but some of the Sibos conferences that we've had in the past, certainly in Osaka and also in Toronto, have been regulation and how the industry is grappling with that. And I thought one of the interesting themes that came out of this conference was the fact that people have now got to grips with the fact that this is the new normal, and what can we do about it? How can banks and a cooperative like SWIFT work together in order to make this a positive for the industry?
Yeah, I think yesterday we did see a lot of interesting and valid points, but perhaps points that we've heard before in terms of how the banks are getting used to the new kind of regulatory environment. It's still painful for them, I think, but I think that also there is a sense from a number of different organisations around the industry that we have to accept this environment. It's and continue the dialogue with the regulators. I think that's very important. It's not like we're given a fait accompli. Regulation evolves over time, but so do solutions and responses to it. And I think the industry's response has now stepped away. It is moving beyond the kind of anger and frustration with regulation to kind of, okay, what can we do with our existing resources? How can we work together closer, collaborate more, and use the data that we have to add new value to clients and to perhaps manage the burden of regulation more effectively.
Okay, well, we had an interesting soundbite that I'm going to play you now from one of the key executives at Citi talking about exactly that.
Banks have their own proprietary information, but if you couple that with the business intelligence coming out of the association like SWIFT, it becomes a very powerful combination for us to make our decisions and essentially direct our resources in a more targeted way, which will create a better value, better efficiency for our end stakeholders.
One view from the guys at Citi here at Sibos 2013 in Dubai. Heather is with us, as I mentioned, and one of the stories you wanted to pick up as well on the theme of regulation. Tell me, what were some of the highlights for you both yesterday?
Yes, this was the story from a session yesterday, which was looking at regulation, and it had a voting element to it, and 80% of the delegates in that session said that they felt financial regulation was ill-conceived. So I think there's an element here where in public financial institutions will talk about how regulation is very necessary and that it will help them. In private, I think there still is an element of anger. I think there's still an element of dissatisfaction with some of the financial regulations, and I've been at other conferences where people will talk about that there's too much regulation. I was at one earlier this year where someone actually made a plea for the regulators to go easy on them, but I don't think that will happen because the financial regulators obviously look at this as being very important.
David?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to stick up for the regulators, actually. This has come up, as Heather says, conference after conference, year after year. It's not a big surprise in the wake of the 2008 crisis that the regulators and the politicians and the general public would quite like to see some sort of rule of law in the financial markets. And I think it's very unfair of the industry to turn around and say that the regulators aren't listening and they're all conceived when they haven't been really taking part. And there's a sense of anger, it's a sense of shame as well. For instance, the market infrastructure session that I was chairing the other day, it was a regulation in the standards forum. We talked about regulation, but we had a regulator on the panel. And I'll stick up for the Hong Kong Financial Authority. They do talk to the industry. They try to. They say, how can we make this better? In Europe, they have the Lamfalussy process, which is an iterative thing. They go round and round. Yes, you're on MiFID 2. That probably means that the industry didn't help do MiFID 1. It's not just the regulators. It has to be got together.
Okay, some of the other things, some of the lighter notes, if you like, as this is the last day, we've got to have a bit of fun on the last day, haven't we? So let's start with this, Heather, some pictures that you've got about a space monkey. Tell us about this.
This is Space Monkey, who's been in Dubai for the week, and you can see there that he's put his money in the wishing well on the Swift stand. So he's done his bit.
There he is,
and
up here.
he was walking around the exhibition yesterday, just having a bit of fun, and you know, he's had a good time, and he's had some very fruitful meetings as well, obviously.
And he's a very good space monkey, because you can see he's put in his coin in the wishing well.
Absolutely.
So that's what all of you, we want you to do that, because it's going to help a very good cause. And David, let's get to InnoTribe, because we've been running the Startup Challenge, and we've got the big announcements today.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by the InnoTribe winners this year. You know, spending a lot of time in the other parts of the session not being able to go in there. So the winners' announcements are really interesting. You've got ClickX, which is clearly web-based. It's a modern thing. But one of the others in the innovator category is a company called Waratech, and they're actually doing. InnoTribe's associated with lots of disruptive things, but what Waratech are doing is a very basic piece of IT engineering, which is taking Java applets and allowing them to be virtualized, which is really dull and techy, but it's actually a really quite empowering technology, if that's the phrase I would hate to use. Did I just say that? Empowering technology? Sorry.
Okay, well, also, with regards to InnoTribe, there's some very interesting photographs I'm seeing in some of the captions there. I don't know if you guys can actually see this. I can't remember the last time I said this on live television, but the caption here reads, after 4 long days of competition, the InnoTribe winner is revealed. Future Boobs 2020. If you haven't seen this, definitely it'll give you a nice laugh on the day. Tell us why you decided to run that.
As you say at the beginning of all these, Heather is the editor. I think actually finally the heat of Dubai has got to the caption writers, and they're starting to see mirages. But I think it's the visual imagination has got to them.
And you also, Chris, you were telling me about some of the trade show giveaways, the best trade show giveaways in your publication.
Yeah, on the back page of Sibos Issues, as you know, we kind of take a lot aside. We've been looking at the kind of today, tomorrow, and tonight side of things, but also we carry a number of feeds from Twitter, seeing what people have been kind of tweeting about, and one of them just pointing out that probably the worst and most inappropriate kind of giveaway they've seen has been a certain bank giving away umbrellas in Dubai in the 40-degree heat.
Well, thanks very much to all of you for joining us. It's been a very busy time for all of you. You were saying you haven't even got a chance to go out and see outside yet.
Not yet.
So you got a chance to do some of that today. Guys, always a pleasure to see you.